What if I told you that everything you thought you knew about the Brown family is nothing compared to what really happens behind the cameras? And what if I told you that the cracks we all saw forming years ago have finally exploded into something no one was prepared for? Because this time, the secrets are darker, the stakes are higher, and the truth is more explosive than anything Sister Wives has ever shown. Get ready, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see this family forever. How quickly she can influence his direction depending on how fast she responds. A confession disguised as humility, but carrying the weight of quiet authority. And as the conversation continues, a new pattern appears. Their language begins to mirror each other. They build the same loophole, the same escape route, both agreeing that apologies should cover only what he personally believes he did wrong, not what the women experienced, not what they felt, not what they lived through. And with that single agreement, the entire apology becomes nothing more than a performance, a carefully crafted speech intended not to heal, but to manage appearances. And the atmosphere, heavy with tension, grows thicker as the scene shifts. Kody, driving alone, reflecting on his behavior, claiming he acted like a teenager and now wants redemption, starting with the wife least likely to challenge him, the one who always stays steady even in chaos, Janelle. And he prepares himself for this meeting, not to listen, but to bulldoze through any emotional resistance, because in his mind, apologies are obstacles to move past, not bridges to rebuild. And the deeper he goes into his thoughts, the clearer it becomes he is not apologizing for the real wounds, the years of neglect, the favoritism, the emotional abandonment. He is apologizing only for the words that expose the truth he had always tried to hide. And that is why the suspense grows with every mile he drives, because the audience knows the past holds more weight than the scripted apology he plans to deliver. And the question becomes not what he will say, but whether the women will allow him to rewrite their history yet again. And as the next chapter of the story unfolds, the energy shifts into something heavier, something sharper, as the tension between past loyalties and present truths grows even thicker. And now the weight of everything left unsaid begins pressing against every moment of the narrative. Because while Kody prepares himself for a performance of redemption, the women who once shared their lives with him are preparing for something entirely different. They're preparing for honesty, for reality, for a confrontation that no longer comes from a place of desire, but from necessity. And this shift is what turns the entire family dynamic into a storm that can no longer be contained. As Janelle sits in her quiet space, reflecting on the years she spent building a life out of compromise and sacrifice, she begins to understand something that perhaps she always knew but never fully spoke aloud. That she had lived in a marriage where the emotional load was never shared, where her support was always offered without return, where her presence became a convenience rather than a partnership. And in that stillness, she finally sees that the freedom she has now is real, and she is not willing to surrender it, not even for an apology wrapped in dramatic flair and selective memory. And while she reflects, Christine stands in her new world, glowing with the confidence she fought so long to earn. She has rebuilt herself, step by step, moment by moment, cutting through the fog of confusion and stepping into a life where her voice is not only heard, but valued. And the strength she carries now becomes a quiet warning for Kody, because she no longer fears his reactions, no longer fears his judgments, no longer fears the emotional unpredictability that once defined their marriage. And she knows exactly what he is trying to do. She knows he wants closure on his own terms. She knows he wants control over the narrative. And she knows he wants the final word in a story that no longer belongs to him. And while these realizations grow stronger, Mary remains at the crossroads of grief and rebirth, learning to let go of something she clung to for decades, something that had become more memory than reality. She sorts through the fragments of her past, understanding the truths hidden between the cracks, acknowledging that she had loved deeply even when she received little in return. And now, as she rebuilds herself,
She steps into her new identity with a fragile strength, one that grows each day as she learns that life beyond heartbreak can still bloom. And all three women, separate yet connected, are moving forward in ways Kody never expected. Their growth becomes a mirror reflecting everything he refused to acknowledge. And as Kody continues his journey, he convinces himself that he is the wounded party, the misunderstood figure, the man burdened by the actions of others. He speaks as though he is the only one who felt pain, the only one who faced struggle, the only one who suffered. But beneath this illusion lies the truth. He has spent years avoiding that his choices, his priorities, his shifting affection, his emotional withdrawal created a fracture too deep to repair. And every mile he drives toward Janelle only amplifies that truth, because he is not driving toward reconciliation, he is driving toward control. And somewhere within him, he knows it. He knows this apology is not for healing, it is for image management, for rewriting memories, for softening the consequences of the choices that dismantled everything. And as he approaches the meeting, he rehearses lines, shaping them into something gentle, something forgiving, something humble. But none of it feels authentic, not even to him, because the apology he plans to give is small, shallow, filtered through pride and fear of accountability. And while he prepares for this orchestrated moment, the women prepare in a different way. They prepare by stepping into themselves without hesitation, without fear, and without the emotional turbulence that once defined their lives. And it is this contrast, the contrast between forced humility and genuine growth, that shifts the atmosphere of the story into something even more powerful. As the narrative widens, the viewers begin to see the cracks in the performance Kody presents. His words carefully shaped, his expressions carefully managed, his tone carefully curated. But beneath all of it lies something raw, something unspoken, something restless. And that restlessness grows when he sits down with Janelle, who greets him not with hostility, but with a calm neutrality, a strength that unsettles him, because he expected her to waver, he expected her to soften, he expected her to open the door to his version of healing. But she does none of that. She listens, she waits. She measures every word with the precision of someone who has learned the cost of emotional compromise. And when he begins his speech, she does not interrupt, she does not engage, she does not feed his narrative. She simply lets him speak, knowing that an apology without accountability is nothing more than noise. And Kody senses this. He senses the shift in power. He senses the absence of previous emotional influence. And suddenly he realizes that the women he once believed he understood have evolved in ways he never predicted. And this realization rattles him, because the foundation he thought he could rebuild his image upon is no longer stable, no longer pliable, no longer under his direction. And the more he talks, the clearer it becomes that his apology is designed not to heal, but to conclude, to wrap up his storyline with a tidy bow, to present himself as a man who tried, even though the attempt lacks truth and depth, and the sincerity required to mend what he destroyed. And as Janelle responds with simple, clear, steady words, she dismantles his performance without raising her voice, without anger, without theatrics. She speaks the truth, and the truth is that she no longer
under his direction. And the more he talks, the clearer it becomes that his apology is designed not to heal, but to conclude, to wrap up his storyline with a tidy bow, to present himself as a man who tried, even though the attempt lacks truth and depth, and the sincerity required to mend what he destroyed. And as Janelle responds with simple, clear, steady words, she dismantles his performance without raising her voice, without anger, without theatrics. She speaks the truth. And the truth is that she no longer needs his closure. She no longer needs his validation. She no longer needs his emotional presence, because she has learned that peace can exist without him. And this truth stings sharper than any argument, sharper than any emotional outburst, because it is quiet, controlled, final. And as he leaves that meeting, shaken by the realization that the women are no longer bound to his narrative, he returns to Robin carrying the weight of a truth he does not want to admit, that the control he once had is slipping, that the story he wants to define is no longer his alone. And Robin, seeing this shift, begins to feel the instability beneath her own carefully constructed world. And for the first time, the cracks begin to show, not in anger, but in fear. Fear that the unity she built around exclusivity may soon crumble. Fear that the truth spoken by the other wives will spread too far. Fear that the narrative she helped shape will unravel in the face of honesty. And as this fear grows, the family dynamic fractures further, deepening the suspense, sharpening the conflicts, and setting the stage for a confrontation that will force every hidden truth, every buried emotion, and every unspoken regret into the light where none of them can escape it anymore.